I love how people go ahead and make jokes about, dad math, and it's like, oh, you know, parents, when it comes to education and all that, you're too strict, you're too serious. It's like, hey, so, assuming that somebody's bad at math because they had an absent parent, yeah, or, terrifying parent experience, a parent getting frustrated when trying to help with homework. And the funny thing is, in certain scenarios, too, there are parents that'll end up going ahead in that situation and go ahead and try to do the kids' homework. You know? Funny thing is, if you ended up going to an alternative school because of having a learning disability and everything, funny thing is, those kids are in for a surprise. Their parent didn't end up going ahead and tell them they went to a school for learning people with learning disabilities. So it's like, you had no idea about that circumstance. They still tried to help you with your homework regardless. Sorry for the failing grade, by the way. Alright? At least they showed up and tried. Alright? That participation trophy is actually fucking worth something. In comparison to, help with my homework. Hello? Hello? Is there anybody out there? Reason why? One parent, prison for life. Other parent, constantly at church. Constantly either at church or at craft fair, going ahead and working a booth with her best friend from high school, who was selling, craftfully decorated piggy banks that were painted with paint pens. And apparently that was supposed to make enough to keep a roof over our head, which later on I got to learn definitely was not enough to go ahead and keep a roof over our head, because if that was the case, I wouldn't need to be used for child labor. At 14 years old, I wouldn't have had to go ahead and get a worker's permit to start working for the entirety of my check to be taken, including every other job that I had. Like, you see the point on this? Like, hey, if your parent failed you in school, alright? If they got you failed because they were not smart enough to be able to do the work, but they showed up to still try to help you do the work, appreciate that. Because you know what the alternative is? The alternative is negative sperm donor. You know what I tell people? I tell people my sperm donor definitely was not going to be a navigator. Couldn't even go ahead and be able to read the GPS on the way back from the milk section, from the milk aisle. So, remember that. And the funny thing is, understand, you may need to try to figure out how to get some bail money for your parent, right? When they have to go to that parent-teacher conference, and they have to hear about the factor that you're failing, but y'all need to keep it your secret, the factor that you're failing because they tried to help you with their homework. So ultimately, the teacher doesn't realize they are nitpicking the parents' intelligence to their face, alright? Insulting their intelligence to their face. You're just a spectator, alright? Now, understand the reason why I say you might need to get bail money is because of the fact that that teacher unknowingly was insulting your parents' intelligence to their face. And your parent cannot tell your teacher the factor that they just insulted their intelligence to their face, because that would be admitting to the teacher that you weren't doing your work. Your parent was doing your work for you. So at that point, your parent would be in trouble and you'd be in trouble. But that teacher just insulted their intelligence. They can't turn a blind eye to that. So next thing you know, parent ends up going ahead and inviting a teacher out for coffee. Deciding let's try to create a bond and everything. And then all of a sudden, your parent and your teacher are having a fight in the middle of a Waffle House parking lot, and all of a sudden there's just teeth and clumps of hair flying everywhere. And it could get bad. It could get bad. Let's just say it could get bad. Just trust me when I say, when it comes to instances like that, those are the very few instances that if you are being told by that same adult, the adults are talking. Just hold on. That is the only trustworthy scenario of the adults are talking that is acceptable. The adults are talking, being used to invalidate your opinion, to invalidate your feelings, to invalidate your thoughts, to invalidate your emotions, and, your attempt to navigate processing them. That is never acceptable. That one situation, that is the one circumstance that I could think of from lived experience that it will be applicable. So, just remember, all right, there are so many nuances in this world. It isn't even funny. So many perspectives of ethics and morality. And we're not even talking about ethics and morality just from our generation. We are talking from the dawn of existence of what is acceptable. Like, for example, all right, I'm about to insult people in a way that most people wouldn't realize that I'd be insulting somebody. But in one culture, it actually is. And you would never think of this being an insult. All right? But now, who would that insult? Which hand was used? Left hand. Waving with the left hand is an insult in one religion. All right? So, while you're thinking you're giving a courteous greeting, hiya neighbor, how's it going? If you were giving that same greeting in a different environment, in a different location, you would get a different response. In America, you give that greeting. Hi, neighbor. Response you would receive back. Hi. All right. Give that greeting in the Middle East. You're not getting the response back of, hi. At least in a friendly, neighborly way. You're getting that response back as, why the fuck did you just insult me? I'm gonna insult you. All right. So, say we're driving through the Middle East, and ultimately somebody did something to prevent me from traveling, and I go ahead and do that. Now, if you're in New York, you'd think, feels like home. If you were in the South, watch out. That motherfucker isn't just going to potentially shoot you. That motherfucker is going to go ahead and decide what style, what caliber, and what ensemble they're going to wear when they walk you out for your fucking execution. And yes, they have different calibers, matching guns to match their apparel. So, but in the Middle East, they'll literally go ahead, put their hand in the same motion, and See, I'm a point. You seeing nuances and understanding. I think you get it.